Thrace can build stone walls. See? That one. And wait, there's another. Okay, you know what? Take a step back. It's not like I put this information in a video already. Ah, shit. My bad, everyone. Thrace is able to build stone walls. In my last video, Walls Part 1, I said that they could not, and I was wrong. So, yeah, Thrace can build stone walls. So, for this video, we're going to be looking at the 5 types of walls and figure out which one is best. Immediately, I'm going to eliminate the 2 wooden walls, because the stone ones, they just clearly give a much bigger advantage. So this debate's mainly going to be focused on the 3 levels of stone walls and which one is the best, since whichever one's the best of those 3 will be the best of every type of wall, because the wooden ones are far inferior. We're going to grade these walls in a few different categories. The first one I want to look at are the towers on these walls. So here I timed how long it takes for the towers on each level of stone wall to destroy an advancing unit. I used a unit of Roman Principes for this experiment in all the cases. So on a normal stone wall, as you see here, it takes the tower a really long 12.5 minutes to completely take out the advancing unit. So that those towers really don't do a lot of damage. On a large stone wall, the towers destroy an advancing unit in 6 minutes and 40 seconds. So this is still a long time, obviously, but the damage seems to be about double that of a normal stone wall. And finally, the epic stone wall really crushes any troops advancing on it, taking them out in just 2.5 minutes. So over double the speed of the large stone wall, and what is that, about 9 times as fast as the normal stone wall. So clearly, yeah, for towers, we have to rank them in order of epic stone wall, then the large stone wall, and then the normal stone wall. Next, it's important to take into account the siege works that opponents can use against you. Your towers doing damage, it's great, but if the enemy can wreck your troops on the walls, that's going to be much more important for the defense of your city than whatever units your towers can take out. So as your walls get bigger, the siege towers that the enemy can use against you become bigger and more effective as a result. So I did some experiments on this one too. First, I looked at how many troops these towers kill on the top of the walls before they make it to the wall. I looked at the time it takes the troops from when they start moving into the siege tower to when it opens up onto the wall and the units can rush on. And I also looked at how many men make it up the ladder every second, because obviously the faster that the troops can climb up to the top of the siege tower, the worse that is for the defender, and the better that is for the attacker. An important thing to know is that the siege towers will fire at the units until they reach the wall, but once the siege tower reaches the wall, it stops firing arrows. So that's, just so you guys know. For normal stone walls, the siege tower took out 4 troops on its way to the wall, so that's really not that great. And then it took 2 minutes and 20 seconds for the troops to get up the tower and on to the wall. And the troops were able to climb the inside of the tower at a rate of what looked to be about 1 man per second when I timed it. The large stone wall siege tower killed about 50 troops on the way to the wall, so much more effective. And it took about 45 seconds for the troops to climb onto the wall, and it looked like the ladder was letting up about 2 men per second. So double the rates, basically, of the siege tower for the normal stone wall. And then the siege towers attacking an epic stone wall just wreck all the units that are up there. If you have a few of these towers advancing at once, you're going to be able to do a ton of damage. But I found out that one tower takes out about 80 troops on its way to the wall. So that's enough on large troop setting to take out an entire unit on your way in per tower. I mean, that's pretty amazing. It takes about 1.5 minutes for the troops to reach the top of the wall, but the opening at the top of the siege tower doesn't open, the kind of the drawbridge thing, until there are a lot more men at the top, so they're going to get a much better push than in the previous 2 levels. So that might kind of take into account as to why it takes a little longer for that mechanism to release. The speed that the men climb up the ladder is way quicker at about 4 men a second. So you're looking at double the speed of the siege towers for a large stone wall and 4 times the speed of the siege towers going up against a normal stone wall. Definitely, if we were to rate these 3 in order with regards to the siege works against, it would go normal stone wall on top, followed by large stone wall, and then epic stone wall being the worst one to have if you're defending it. So that's kind of interesting. Finally, we have the other category. I basically just grouped everything remaining together into this one spot because I think a lot of them aren't very important, so I'm just going to go through them rapid fire right now. First, I want to talk about the other siege weapons, rams, ladders, and sap points. Rams are pretty much the same for all levels of stone walls. The towers should be able to destroy it before it gets to the gate, and if they don't, then it's really not that big a deal anyway. Ladders are eliminated after normal stone walls, so you can't use ladders on large and epic stone walls, which personally I think is a disadvantage. Ladders can't fire troops at your units positioned on top of the wall as they're advancing, and because you only have one guy climbing up each ladder at any given time, it's pretty easy to just swarm them the moment they get to the top of the wall. And finally, sap points are eliminated after large stone walls, so you're not able to use them on epic stone walls. And again, I don't think sap points are that effective, and you rarely see the AI use them anyway. So just kind of a negligible thing. The next one is vision, which I think is pretty important. On the large and especially epic stone wall levels, they go to like the top height limit of the map, and it becomes really hard to kind of manage your troops and fight on the walls. And I'm personally just not a big fan. I think it's a lot easier to see on the normal stone walls than the 2 higher levels. The range advantage that the higher levels gives you is pretty negligible as well. I mean, maybe your archers will be able to get one more volley of arrows in because of the slightly added range from the height of the wall, but it's really not going to make or break a battle for you. Also, as you upgrade the levels of walls, the amount of turns you're able to hold out against a siege extends, but I found that 99.9% of the time in campaigns, you will either sally forth and attack the enemy, they will either attack you, or you'll get a reinforcing army there in time before your city runs out of food. So the extra turn or two that the higher levels of walls give you, it's really, again, just a negligible advantage. One thing that a lot of people seem to care about is being able to use artillery like onagers from inside the city, which becomes impossible on large and epic stone walls because the walls are just too high for the onagers to fire over them. I never really use onagers in a siege defense unless I have wooden walls because I don't want to risk firing a shot right into my wall and damaging my wall or killing units that are on top. So not really a factor for me, but if that's a factor for you, then I think stone walls would be the best level for that. And then finally, which I think is the most important one that I'm putting in the other category here, is you should be building other things than walls. To get large stone walls, you need 12,000 population in your city, and you can build such better stuff with 12,000 population than the large stone walls, and especially with the 24,000 population threshold for epic stone walls. So really, walls should be near the bottom of your list of priorities once you build the normal stone walls. I think normal stone walls should be near the top of your list of priorities, but after that, basically drop it all the way down to the bottom. So for the other category, I would order it with normal stone walls being the best, followed up by epic stone walls, and then large stone walls coming in the number 3 spot. So looking at all this, I think that we can determine that out of all the walls, normal stone walls are the best. I just think that the advantages for the higher levels of stone walls are offset by the advantages that the attacking forces have, especially the damage that the siege towers can do. So I think when you look at the total benefit that you get from the normal stone walls and the lack of advantages that the enemy gets when you have normal stone walls, I think overall normal stone walls are hands down the best. If you have nothing else to build and you just have a ton of money, then yeah, I mean, build the other walls if you want to. It's really not the end of the world. But in my opinion, normal stone walls are more than sufficient, and you should be able to put up a great defense using them. So thank you everyone for watching this video. If you have a different opinion, you think another wall is better, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm more than happy to talk about it. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And as always, I look forward to seeing everyone next time.